Jesus is on trial every day. In the court of public opinion, his words and life are held up to unmerciful questioning. Individuals ridicule him constantly, and communities, like those throughout the Southeast today, question the acts of God that lead death and destruction. Every day, Jesus is on trial. He's on trial when his words and his actions are challenged by the unconvinced. How could this man who claimed to be the Son of God do all the things that the Bible claims are true? Where, they say, is the evidence of these great miracles today? You see, the unconvinced of the world struggle to put faith and fact together in a way that allows them to accept Jesus as the Son of God. To the unconvinced, the evidence doesn't add up in Jesus' favor. And every day, Jesus is on trial when his words and his actions are challenged by the unsatisfied. To them, how could this man who claimed to be the Son of God allow their lives to experience tragedy and trial and heartache? The unsatisfied ask constantly, didn't Jesus promise me something better? Where is my miracle, my healing, my food? When these unsatisfied individuals look at their lives, when they appear to look at the heartache of untold millions in history, they are left without an answer that agrees with what they believe to be the claims of Jesus. And every day, Jesus is on trial when his words and his actions are challenged by the lives of those who are unchanged. Unfortunately, too many people in the church fall into this last category. We tend to leave the world without proof that the Son of God can truly change a life. We say we believe Jesus is the Son of God, but then we fail when it comes to making the changes in our lives that Jesus really desires us to make. We say we love God, we say we love others, but how are we demonstrating that love? Tragically, the people who should be defending Jesus are really only adding to the prosecution's list of witnesses against him. Yes, Jesus is on trial today. His life, his words are put under the same scrutiny that the religious leaders of his day used to bring him to trial. Men and women the world over are always asking the questions that they hope will provide some kind of solid evidence as to whether or not Jesus really is who he says he is. And the questions mount every time a storm ravages a community. Every time a mad gunman shoots innocent people. Every time we see the pictures on our television of hundreds of innocent children who die due to a lack of food and water and adequate medicine. Many people who hear the evidence against Jesus simply remain unmoved by his life and his testimony. Questions continue to mount against Jesus as they look at life and try unsuccessfully to balance Scripture with their experience of life. And so for them, Jesus is perpetually on trial. And as people continue to weigh the facts and look for some sort of new evidence, the question becomes, who will stand for Jesus? Who will stand for Jesus? Who will stand up with convincing proof, a satisfying answer, and a changed life as evidence that Jesus is who he says he is? The very Son of God. You see, when Jesus went on trial in Jerusalem, where were all the people? All the people who had just a short time ago triumphantly hailed him as he entered the city. Where was the crowd who had taken off their coats, who had cut down palm branches and laid them on the road and shouted hosannas? When Jesus went on trial in Jerusalem, where were all the people for whom he had come to their aid? The lepers who had been made clean, the dead who had been given life again, the thousands he had fed, and the sick who were now healed. Where were they? You see, when Jesus needed their support the most, the people for whom he came to heal and to make whole and to save, they deserted him. They deserted him and they left him abandoned. The miracles were forgotten, and instead of their voices rising as one to defend him for what he had done for them, their silence was deafening. Only Peter, only bold Peter stepped out of the shadows for a moment. But would he be there when the questions really get tough? Would he defend him? Or would he deny him? Would Peter be like the rest of the disciples who would simply run and hide? And that's the question that each of us must confront today. When we're face to face with having to answer the question, when we are pressed on all sides from those who persecute him, will we be faint-hearted or willing to be known as a disciple? Will we run away when Jesus is on trial? Or will we stand by his side? Peter left us some words in his epistle that I want to leave with you this morning as you think about whether or not you will stand with Jesus. He said, "Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have." Always be prepared, for Jesus is on trial today.